So here we go. So we're unit 5, lesson 4. Just so you're aware, this is the last unit for your cutoff for your midterm. Okay, so polynomials, we're not factoring, that's next. We might start that before the midterm, but this is your last covered material for the midterm. So it's 5 units. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, so complete the following. And actually, this is good because this is what Tatum just asked us about. So, complete the following using distributive property and FOIL. So when you have an a plus b squared, that means you have 2 of them. A plus b times a plus b. Okay, so if I FOIL that, I'm going to get a squared, ab. Need to make my pen probably a little thinner now. Oh, it's here. There we go. Kind of like the big. All right. So a squared. Can we see that? AB. AB. It is. You can call it BA if you want, but AB and BA are the same thing. And then plus B squared. Then we combine that, and we get a squared plus 2ab's plus a b squared. A minus b squared is the same thing, but negative ab's. So you'll have a squared minus ab plus b squared, because a negative times a negative. So if I don't go too fast here, a minus b, negative b times a negative b. Okay, so we get a squared plus ab, not plus, minus 2ab plus b squared. Did I lose you, Breezy? We okay? Okay. And then the last one is what you're going to learn about later in your math career. These are called difference of squares. Okay. The reason being is because watch what happens. A squared, a times a, plus ab, right? And then I get a minus ab. So what happens to those? They cancel. Good. And then I have my minus b squared. Sorry, I ran out of room there. So the ab's go goodbye, and I just have a squared minus b squared. This is called a difference of squares. If you want to write that in your notes, that'd be good. I don't know if they're going to cover that today or not, but that's called a difference of squares. Okay. All right. So the square binomial can be found by squaring the first term, doubling the product of the 2 terms, and squaring the last term. So what they're telling you is just rule of thumb, so you don't have to FOIL every time. When you're squaring something, it's the first guy squared, 2 of these added, so like 2 of these multiplied, AB, and then 2 of them, and then the last guy squared. That's the pattern. So see here, I have this guy squared, 2 of the negative ABs, and then the last one squared. So we'll get to that down here. Let's go down. So the pattern, again, so we don't have to FOIL. You can if you want to, okay? But it's going to be x squared, and then I'm going to have 2 what? 7x's, right? I'm going to have 2 7x's, so that makes what? 14x. Okay, and then what's 7 squared? 49. So the x plus 7 squared is that. Okay, do we want me to FOIL that one more time, just so we can see that, or FOIL it one more time? Okay, so if we FOIL x plus 7 times x plus 7, this is where it comes from. I have my x times x, that's my x squared. Then I have my x times 7, that's my 17x. I have my 7 times x. See, there's 2 of them. That's why we multiply it by 2. Yeah? And then 7 times 7 for the 49. Okay, the way I kind of always do it, and just in my head, and this is just me, I go, that's x squared. I go, that's 49. Then I go 7 times x times 2. because it's a square. That's how I used to do it. You don't have to do that if you don't want. Okay? So, like, watch this one. What's 3x squared? 9x squared, good. And now watch. Let's try it. Negative 1 times 3x is what? Negative 3x times that by 2. Negative 6x. And then negative 1 squared is a positive 1. So that would be B. We okay? Decent? Average? All right. So, Alex, what do you think C would be? Good. The middle will have two variables. Good. So she went 3 times the 2 for the 6, and the negative 6 because it's a minus, and then she times that by 2 for the 12. Awesome. Amen. And then the last part. Yep. Good. Very good. And that was a good one for her because she just did the pattern. That was tough. 2 variables, kind of ugly, and she just, in her mind, did the pattern, and that came out perfect. Okay? All right, good. Josh, you want to try this one? Good. Okay, good. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, no, you did 16. Okay, so you have to do one more piece, but that's fine. What else do you have? Yeah. Okay. X. Good. Now, what's the pattern with these kind? What happens here? What's in your middle? What do you notice? Negative and a positive, so they're going to cancel, right? So we notice that we're going to have simply 16 minus 49x squared. Does that make sense? So when you're multiplying, in other words, I'm just throwing these out at you. It's not for today. These are called, when you get to higher math, these are called conjugates. They're the opposite of each other. Yeah. Exactly. That's the pattern. Okay? So Chris just said, well, can we just do first and last and skip the middle? You can, since you know, as long as they're opposites. 5a plus 3b, 5a minus 3b. So in your head, you should go, oh, my middle is going to be gone. Right? So what would this one be, Chris? Minus 9b squared, yep. You guys see that? So middle goes away. And I like that Josh did it out because Josh just proved it to us. Okay, Josh just proved it to us. All right. Allie, what about this one? Now this one, be careful. Are they opposites? They're not. So what's this one like? It's like one of these. So this, let me show you. This is the same thing as that. Does that make sense? Because there's 2 of them, right? So it's squared. So I want you to try this pattern from up top on this guy. So what would it be? Very good. So what's 9 times 2? What's times 2 again? 36. Good. So with a minus 36 PQ, both the variables, and then what's the end? Plus Q squared, but with the 9 squared too. What's 9 squared? 81. Got it? All right. So let me see here. Oh, why is it? Oh, that's weird. Oh, sorry. Okay, so let's get on to example number 2. All right, so example number 2, we're going to, whoops, I don't want that anymore. Okay, we're going to expand and simplify. So what that means is we're going to, excuse me, we're going to FOIL these out and then times them all by 5. Okay, you can do it a lot of different ways. When you're doing this, you can multiply the 5 right away, okay, or you can FOIL these and then multiply everything by 5. It doesn't matter when or what you do, as long as you do it at least once. Okay, so for example, I prefer to FOIL first, so I'm going to FOIL, so 2x squared minus 12x minus 3x plus 18. And it's like I have a 5 sitting out here waiting to come in. So before I do the 5, I'm going to get my like terms together. So it's 2x squared minus 15x plus 18. Okay. And now I'm going to push my 5 through. So my 5 goes here. What's 5 times 2? 10. What's 5 times negative 15? What's that? Nope. 75. And 5 times 18 would be the 90. Okay, so that would be it. Questions on that? So on part B, let's use our thing we just learned. Okay, so Tatum, what would this right here be without having to FOIL it from earlier? So 7 plus 3 squared. So how do we do that? Do you remember? Just this guy. Don't worry about the negative 8, just that squared. Right, which is good. So 49p squared is my first piece. 3 times. Good. 21 times 2 is. Good. 42p, and then that squared is good. Now this whole thing times a negative 8. That whole thing times a negative 8. Negative 8 goes through. These are going to be big, ugly numbers. Good thing you have calculators in this class. Negative 392p squared minus 336p minus 72. All right. So, Jad, what do we know about these two on A? What's going to happen? What's going to go away? Erase, yeah, which part though? It's x plus 5, x minus 5. Remember, when we FOIL out, we have an end, a middle, and an end. What part went away? Do you remember? No? That's okay. Who wants to help him? The middle. Okay, the middle goes away because we're going to have a minus 5x and a positive 5x in the middle. So the middle will go away. So with that said, Jad, what's x times x? And then what is 5 times a negative 5? Good, and that's all that's left. Okay, when they're opposites, it's that simple. That's what Chris was talking about a little earlier. Okay, and then this one I actually have to FOIL because they're not the same and they're not opposites. So we have to actually FOIL it. So x times x, x squared. X times 8, 8x. 2 times x first, and then 2 times 8. So that's going to give me, and now since this is minus, I got to minus this whole group. So 8 plus 2 is 10x, and plus 16. So minus that whole group, remember that's like we've said the other day, it's like adding a negative of all of them. Okay, they're all positives, they're actually all being negative. So what's an x squared minus an x squared? Just kidding. They cancel, yeah. Oh, they cancel. Negative 25, well, minus 10. What's negative 25 minus 10? Minus 35. And then we have a 10x, it's a negative. That's your answer. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second there. It's like terms, okay? I know I skipped up 25 and do the 10x because it's not an x, right? So these are different. Yeah, Alex?
When you're FOILing, wouldn't you do 2 times 8? So
Yeah, it is 16. It's just bad handwriting. Sorry. So, oh, I added it wrong. Oh, I see. You're right. I added it wrong, though. I read my own writing wrong. So it's going to be minus 41. Thank you. My bad. Okay, so B, again, it's not opposite. It's close. Okay. Actually might work out on this one just because it's a reverse of itself. And then we know how to do that one. So this is going to be 36a squared minus 81a plus 16a minus 36. So see, nothing cancels there because they're not opposites. So 36a squared, and then negative 81 plus 16 is negative 71, negative 65. And then we have our minus 36. Okay, now we need to do this side. Or not equals, excuse me, it's a minus sign. Okay, so this one's a square though, so what's this one going to be? Joseph, do you want to try that? 6a minus 5 squared. What's that one going to work out to be? The pattern? What do you want? Just tell me what you want me to do. Okay. Okay. Okay, so you have a minus 30a, and then you have another minus 30a, so what's that? Okay, and what's the end? Plus 25. Okay, good. Oops, we're out of room here. Plus 25. All right, so we're minusing all this stuff, so I have a 36a squared minus another 36a squared. So those cancel again. I have negative 65 minus a negative 60. So minus and minus means what? Add. So that's going to be negative 65 plus 60, which is a negative 5a. So those are done. And then I have a negative 36 minus 25. Minus 25 would give me a negative 61. So negative 5a minus 61 was what we want there. Okay, I'm going to let you guys try just section 2, just do the first couple. Just like a little 2 or 3 minute break here, and then we'll continue. Ooh, thank you. All right, so example 4. All right. So these ones are going to be a little bit, I don't want to say uglier. Dang. I don't want to say uglier, they're just a little bit harder because there's got a lot. Okay, it's just kind of a lot of stuff. So these ones, just take them step by step. So this one is not really a FOIL, it's just I have to distribute. Okay, this one I have to FOIL. Okay, so I'm going to distribute this one first. Okay, so what is 5x times 3x squared? 15x cubed. That's my first step. This one right here. And now I'm going to go 5x times negative 7x for negative 35x squared. Good. And then 5x times 1, 5x. Perfect. Okay. Now I wanted to go ahead and FOIL the second part. So I'm going to have minus, and then I'm going to get what I FOIL here. 4x times 5x, 20x squared. 4x times negative 8, negative 32x. 3x squared times 5x squared plus 15x cubed. Need some more room, don't I? And 3x squared minus 8x is negative 24x squared. So before I minus them, I'm going to combine my like terms if I have any. I do have a couple. I have 2x squareds. So I'm going to go 15x cubed minus 35x squared plus 5x minus this group. 20 minus 24 is a negative 4 minus 32x plus 15x cubed. Generally, I like to put my bigger exponents in front, but Especially if your answer, like right now, is not a huge deal, but we can do that in a second. So this right here, so let's go through. Again, 15x cubed minus 15x cubed, so they go away. Okay, I have a negative 35x squared minus a negative 4, so it's plus 4. So that's going to give me negative 31x squared. Okay, I got these done. 5x minus a negative 32x, that's adding, plus 37x. And that's it. Just kind of longer. Okay. All right. Let's do part B, and we have one more problem, and we're done with this. Okay, I'm going to erase a little bit of this here so I have some more room, okay? Okay. So this one, we have a foil, and then two distributions. Okay. What I like to do, and you don't have to, but see how it says minus 8? I like to think of that as a negative 8. So when I multiply, instead of multiplying just an 8 in, I multiply a negative 8 in, so I don't have to worry about any minus and minus anymore. I'll show you when we get there. Okay, so let's just do the left side first here. All right, 2x times 3x, 6x squared. Remember, we have our 4 out here. 2x times 2, I'm going to write it up here. I'm going to write 4x. I'm going to put together now. Negative 7 times 3x, negative 21x. What's 4 minus 21? Good, negative 17. And then negative 7 times positive 2 is negative 14. Is everybody okay with that so far? Okay, now I'm going to go multiply the 4 through. 24x squared. That's going to be 4 times 17 is negative 68. And then 4 times 14 is negative 56. So it's the left side, so all the way done and nice. Okay, so let's do the right side now. So the right side, when I distribute that, I got negative 8 here. 3x squared. Negative x. Negative 3x. What's negative 1 minus 3? Negative 4. And then negative times a negative is a positive 1 for the end. And so that's what I'm talking about right here. So I don't have to worry about minus and minus and all that stuff. I'm going to distribute a negative 8 to all these, and I can just combine like terms. So what I mean by that is, watch. Negative 8 times 3 is a what? Negative 24x squared. And I just put it right there. So now I see that I have a 24 minus a 24. Okay? Questions with that? Okay, so then I'm going to go negative 8 times negative 4 is positive 32x. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. So, like I said, we see these cancel. 24 minus 24. Okay, I have negative 68 plus 32. That's going to give me a negative 36x. So that's done. Negative 56 minus 8 is a negative 64. There's your answer for part B. Okay, and the last example. Questions yet? Deep breaths. So no, this is probably, I wouldn't say this is a high difficulty level. I'd say it just takes some time. So maybe high time level. Okay? All right. Given that for every value of x, the polynomial x squared plus 20x plus 50 can be written in the form of x plus a squared plus b. Determine the values of a and b. So what it's saying is that if I foiled all this out, it would get this. So let's use our pattern. I know it's just letters. But what would x plus a squared be if I foiled it out with our pattern we learned today? So what's the first one? We know it's going to be a, just squared. Yeah. Okay, and then what's the middle going to be? Nope, it's not minus and a plus. Has to be opposites. Well, I passed the test. 2ax, right? 2ax. Okay, and the last piece, a squared, right? And then plus b. Okay, good. So what we know now is that we have the x squared, we have plus the 2ax. So if we have a 2ax, what does that represent in here? Well, this has a what on it? So what can you set equal to each other? 2a equals 20. Okay, so what I'm showing you is, I know it doesn't look exactly the same, but the part with the x, 2ax, 20x. So 2a equals 20 for our first piece. Does that make sense? So I'm going to solve for a, so what do I do to solve for a? Divide by 2, so a is 10. So we just got a. That's what it wants us. It wants to get to a. Now we need to get b. Well, a squared and this b represent the what? Yeah, the 50. So I have a squared plus b equals 50. Well, wait, I have two variables. How am I going to solve that? We know what a is. What's a? Now, what's 10 squared? And how do I get rid of the 100? Minus. So I'm going to get b equals a negative 50. There's two answers. Okay. Good job today.